Okay, I'll call this regular council meeting of 2013, October 8th to order. And I'm just approval of the agenda with the notice of motion. Is that what you want, Jim? To be added to 9 new business?
Yeah. Yeah, that's when I would move it to that. It's not a late agenda item.
Okay.
It's just I prefer.
Okay. So, motion to approve the agenda. Moved by Councillor Lang, second by Councillor Hewitt. As amended. Oh no, yeah, as adjusted. Is it amended then because we added 9A?
With the addition of
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All in favor? Motion passed. And adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting of 2013-09-24. Moved by Councillor Hewitt, second by Councillor Leith. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes. And delegation, Mr. James Morris, IHA Matters.
Should I come to the table, or?
Yeah, why don't you come to the table and I'll read what I'm recommending.
Okay.
For council's consideration. Okay.
Sure. You bet.
The Village of Kaslo has no confidence in the current management of its health center and urgent care services in Kaslo and electoral area D, and questions IHA's understanding and implementation of the recent report by Dr. John Ross. No changes should occur in the Victorian Health Center until completion of the province's core review process. That should have been December 14th. But I guess everybody knows that's when it's going to end. Like they got 4 stages. Okay. The Kaslo and Area Health Working Group be invited to become a select committee of council with the exploration of creating a scenario where 2 full-time fee-for-service doctors can become a reality. Then Director Shadrack asked this to be added to this. He says, "Oh, this was coming from Andy." Director Shadrack has requested consideration of the following recommendation in relation to this delegation as discussed by the health group. That the Village of Kaslo formally requests that the Rural Coordination Center in British Columbia, under the guidance of Dr. Granger Avery, be asked to intercede on behalf of area residents in the current dialogue with the Interior Health Authority on the question of local health care provisions. Jim, do you want to show James what you're bringing up under new business?
Yeah, that's going to be later. I mean, you might want to still do your delegation, I think.
Certainly.
Because this is responding to what you're going to say, and you should say.
Okay, certainly. Fine and dandy there. I just wanted to keep it simple there. Mr. Shadrack is adding on another layer that I don't see which is really necessary there. I spoke at length with Jim Holland here in regards to the way private clinics work so well all through the Kootenays for many, many years. And I understand the IHA tried very hard to address what they saw as a problem there for small rural communities, of which Kaslo was one. So they created a template there for all of the various clinics here, there, and everywhere in the small communities there. And so it's played itself out over the years. And this is where we're at right now, where very few physicians really want to come and work for them. And we're part and parcel of the whole problem there. We've had one demonstration there, the first and only one we've ever had in front of the hospital there, with people being very dissatisfied. So I'm saying that the way I see it there is that the ad hoc committee should become that select committee that you mentioned there, and that there should be a motion put forward by someone on council here for non-confidence in the way the clinic has been run up to this point, and that we are looking for the select committee to embark on setting up a local clinic with private fee-for-service doctors there. And this is the way it's worked elsewhere. Like you start to name them there, and they're all through the Kootenays here. So it is a thing that actually does work there. The trick is finding people to come. So in order for that to be achieved there, I think that the select committee should start looking for donations and funds and all the rest of that goes along with these sorts of things there, so that we are really looking for ourselves to improve our health situation in Kaslo there. I won't go on about the way it is right now. I think everybody is fully aware of the way it is right now. And anyway, I want just something real simple and to move forward with that. That's what I'm asking. So I want 2 motions there, one of non-confidence in what's going on at the clinic up here, not the hospital per se, but at the clinic level. And I want a select committee under the auspices there of the council to embark on this other huge project there, and daunting project as well. I understand that, but I think that's the way that if you're expecting IHA to change what they do, because like Kaslo's part of a template, the way I see it there, that means they would have to change here, there, and everywhere, and it may be working somewhere else, but it's not working here. So this is why I say that we should just do this thing and see where it leads us there. Because so far, I mean, it's not working out very well.
Councilors, questions? So, Councilor.
Well, I was going to move your recommendation with the friendly amendment that we come up with the terms of reference for the select committee. I mean, every committee we have has terms of reference, and I think that it's important that council has, if we're going to create a select committee, that we have some, I don't want to say control, it's not control, but some say in what it is they're
Yeah, this would be a very different committee than other select committees.
So,
And Neil and I discussed this, and I think he would prepare in terms of reference that would give this committee the flexibility it needs to get the job done. But like a start date and an end date, right, for starters.
right, so that's what I mean by terms of reference.
yeah,
Councilor Holland?
yeah, if I could help Molly, I don't think we need to amend because nothing's been moved yet. We could say that council created terms of reference for the Kaslo Area Health Working Group. Just stick, like you're saying, just stick it in there. I think kind of get it together. So you don't have to amend, you can just move it the way you want it. There's nothing to amend in. So that terms of reference be created by or developed by the council, and that the Kaslo Area Health Working Group be invited to come to something. That's where you're going, right, Mom?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor? Jim?
Yeah.
Or James, so like it says here, the Village of Kaslo has no confidence in the current management of its health center and urgent care services. Do you want, should we change that? Has voted there is no confidence, or what?
Well, my letter is a little bit softer than So I was going to.
You put the Village of Kaslo lacks confidence.
Lacks confidence, yeah, just because it just wordsmithing thing. I was having a hard time saying voted non-confident. Just the Village of Kaslo lacks confidence in the IHA's effectiveness in providing adequate health care services for small rural communities like Kaslo and area. The perceived inadequacies are a lack of understanding of the critical need for continuity of medical services in small rural communities, a lack of flexibility, managerial capacity, or policies to generate viable contracts with physicians for small rural communities, a lack of capacity to engage and inform small rural communities of viable options for the provision of medical services, and further that IHA take measures to address these issues in a tangible manner in order to demonstrate to small rural communities that IHA has a capacity to generate solutions or allow communities greater control of their medical services in order to ensure sustainability and offer continuity of care. It's kind of soft, but it really supports more of what's going on there.
See, the Select Standing Committee could bring other recommendations forward to council of a stronger nature.
Right.
Like we're going to get into the doctor recruiting business.
Right.
So, are you satisfied?
Well, I just wanted to just plain non-confidence there, because like all I'm trying to say, like I said, it's like a symbolic statement there, and it just says that you have basically failed us. Up to this point there, I mean, it's going in one direction only, and so just say it there. So that I think they've treated you and Andy very badly, right? So I mean, just
So I'm trying to, council, is there any way we could change the Village of Kaslo has voted no confidence in the current management of its health center and urgent care? How can we change that to meet James's needs? Councilor Lang.
I actually like the motion the way it reads. I think it's very blunt and to the point.
Well,
It's just not confrontational, but it does spell out the issues very clearly. And I'm sure, like you say, once the select committee is formed, there'll be other motions going forward that may contain more specific recommendations or other things. But I think this is a good opening shot across the bow to say, here's where we stand today. We don't have any confidence in their ability to handle this, manage the situation.
So we're talking this one now?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been moved?
We're moving it.
Okay.
So which one? The one that we just moved is strictly to do with this formation of select committee, right?
Did we vote on that?
Yeah, I'm not too sure whether we did or not.
You haven't passed a resolution to actually invite them to become a select committee.
Okay. We should vote on that for you.
Okay.
Well,
I think that's right.
That's what you, yes, and it was
Yeah, but yeah.
sidetracked.
Yeah, that's sidetracked.
okay, so this is my recommendation here and my motion, and there's three parts to it. Are we going to pass that or not? Were you talking about Jim's or the one that's on the agenda?
I thought we already passed the first recommendation, but I guess we didn't vote on it.
No.
It was moved and seconded, right? Who moved it?
Councilor.
Yeah. Who seconded?
I'll second it.
You want to carry on motion that council create terms of reference. That's the only one I got at the moment, unless you're taking on.
So, no.
Well, what I had said was,
Oh, a friendly amendment.
yeah, I had removed the mayor's recommendation with the friendly amendment, which was that they needed the terms of reference.
Okay, so that would be all three.
Okay. Are we ready for the question? Call the question. All in favor? Motion passes. And then, well, that comes under new business.
Oh,
You asked me to read it, that's why we...
Yeah, that's what I realized. Well, isn't that's why we amended the agenda to put that into new business, right?
Okay.
And it could be amended new business if you wish.
I don't think it needs to be, well, I don't know if anyone wants to amend it or not. It's just, we should
I can move forward.
We do it right now? Okay, I'll move this right now.
Moved by Councillor Holland, second by Councillor Lang. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes. Very good. We're going to put you on the committee. Okay.
thank you. Thanks very much.
Yes.
Oh, well, I read that one as well when I read the other three. That should be included with Molly's motion. Was that your understanding, Molly?
Is that your understanding?
I was actually moving the mayor's recommendation of the first three.
Okay. Would somebody like to move Director Shadrack's motion?
Yeah, I'll move that.
Moved by Councillor Holland. Is there a second? Second by Councillor Leafwood. Further discussion. Call the question. All in favor? And just, like this is going to the Ministry of Health, Dr. Halpenny, probably Mr. Nooner, Margaret Rockwold, the chair of the hospital board, and Neil and a few others. Who else are we going to send that to?
Well, we decided to send it to this new rural coordination.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of this rural coordination.
It's a new initiative to try and get rural healthcare coordinated outside of the mandate of the health authorities.
Okay.
Dr. Granger Avery is a specialist in the field of rural medicine coordination.
Okay. Moving on. Business arising from the minutes. Report from the administrator.
Okay, I have one recommendation in there for you. I'll just quickly go through it here. Public Works is awaiting an appropriate time to work on boat dock lake levels that have stayed a little higher than anticipated. So Glenn's patiently waiting. Some trail work at the base of Water Street is nearing completion. The RDCK emergency coordinator has indicated that the Campbell building generator will not be relocated to the new fire hall, but I think everyone on council, there's other committees and so on, including myself, need to monitor that situation. There's a lot of uncertainty with the fire hall right now. The LJMA chapter meeting in Montrose has been cancelled, but myself and the foreman will be attending a water smart training for local government decision makers in Salmo on October 21st instead. In terms of the office and building, I purely put this out as a thought more than a really strong recommendation for council. When the fire hall is completed, we will lose all of the emergency preparedness equipment stored and utilised in this room, including the projector. With modernisation of the Campbell building in mind, as a meeting place, a business centre, some of the tenants, some actions might be worth consideration by council or committee of the whole in future. A ceiling mounted projection system is one suggestion I put in the recommendation there, in addition to some modest resources for insulation, air quality, and other improvements in 2014. From on the heritage front, we have a lot of interesting fixtures in this room from its courtroom days, and I would like Lee to look into whether it would be viable to look at relocating some of these fixtures back to the City Hall. In the view of some, that maybe these fixtures perhaps came from City Hall, but I don't know if that's correct or not. So it's just from the perspective of modernising this room for council and for our tenants.
So move that costing the ceiling mounted projection system be investigated for council chambers.
Second.
Call question? All in favor? Motion passes.
And
I move the second recommendation.
Moved by Councillor Lang, second by Councillor Leithwood. Discussion? All in favor? Motion passes.
I just have some important dates there for council, and we do need to sort this out. We've got on the 15th is the window, or next week is the window for our budget committee of the whole, as was discussed last week. The 29th would be the alternative. I can facilitate either and have an agenda together for you either way, but you need to pick a day and a time.
October 15th.
Because you vote on
It's a regional district day.
What day is the 15th?
It's a Tuesday.
it's a Wednesday, isn't it?
But you're not stuck on Tuesdays for committee of the whole.
Well, my meeting on Tuesday ends at 4. I could be here by 5:15.
Well,
If you need me to.
Councillor Lang.
I hate to say this, but I think we need to have a budget meeting to discuss how the budget meetings are going to be handled.
Well, that's what this was for. This is
Okay, so the first meeting,
This is the process.
is just setting out the process.
Right.
Because clearly, and as in years past, we need to deal with the budget in segments. And I think it'd be nice to allocate a certain segment to a certain date so that the people that are affected by that, whether it be the public works board member or members of the public, could attend on those dates, knowing that that's what was going to be discussed on that date.
Yeah, I think that's what the meeting, whether it's the 15th or the 29th, is all about. Here's the timeline.
Okay.
And then we adjust, based on what goes wrong.
Okay. So it should be a short meeting, in other words, because we're not actually going to talk numbers, we're going to talk format.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the 15th works for me.
But it has to be a little later.
Can we do it at 6 or
Or 5.
What's that?
5:15? 5:15? 5. I can.
5's good.
5 p.m.?
It's up to you guys. I'll vote for 5. Somebody else wants 7, I'm okay with 7.
I think 5 is okay.
Okay.
We've done that.
Then we start to advertise, so the public can come to these budget meetings. So 5 o'clock is kind of is the organization one, so I would be looking for a little different time for public. Okay. All right, that's dealt with. Project lists.
Can I just ask, so if anybody has any of that form of input, it would be nice to have it before then for consideration, so we're not all at cross purposes.
Yes, if people would like specific things, I can certainly incorporate that into the package for the first meeting.
Can you do that by the 15th, or you want to wait till the 20th?
No, I can do some of this work before the 15th.
Okay.
Also, in one of my reports later on, what I have suggested is also at regular committee to hold on the first Tuesday of the month, we allocate some time for budget engagement with the public, not for a lengthy discussion, but an opportunity for the public to make a submission at that meeting.
Based on what that's advertised, so they know what it is at that particular meeting.
Do we?
Yeah, it's 6:30 now, so.
Oh, yeah, well then I've forgotten about that. Because I don't know whether Len's still going to be here, because then that means I'm not home, like, from noon until 8 at night, or, so.
If that Sen's meeting on that night.
Another night that week's fine for me.
It's the best, unless we do,
17.
I can't do the 17th.
I like the 29th. What's the 29th?
I can't do the 17th.
What's the last Tuesday, the 20th? It's the last Tuesday of the month.
Should says.
Yeah, let's do the budget's more important.
So what date are we going to go at?
15th?
15th at 6, at 5 o'clock.
Okay, so it's to be moved? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Project list. Carol and I are working on making a more straightforward description for you through committee of the whole and through regular in terms of where various projects and initiatives are. So we've created some, basically drawing from the standing committee lists and augmenting, we've created some short and some long lists there. Municipal service and operations is there for you to have a look at. Planning and development project list, there was quite a long, lengthy development services list there, and in some cases I was unable to find what the particular item was about, and I probably need to sit down and get to the bottom of a couple of them. You'll note that the RFP deadline is now up for the Castle River intake, and I'll have a recommendation from Glenn and myself ready for the next regular meeting. We received 3 submissions on that. And on the City Hall and Campbell Norman project list, we have a number of items as well, just for there. And our intent is just to update those lists and make them a little more reader-friendly for council and for the public. How we're progressing or not on certain items.
Okay,
I'll move for receipt of
project list.
all of the,
Second by Councilor Lane. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes. And let's see. Okay, did I do something wrong here? This is the notice of motion.
Yes, this is Councillor Radcliffe.
Okay, this is for Councilor Lane, notice of motion that the Regional District of Central Kootenai RDCK be approached to discuss methods or agreements by which the Caslo Municipal Aerodrome and associated lands could benefit more directly from regional district services such as the sustainability service as an equitable return for the modest property taxation requisition raised by the RDCK from leaseholders of property. Would you like to speak to this, Councilor?
Yeah, this is not an original idea. It's sprung from a conversation at UBCN with John Kettle, and this sort of arrangement is in place in Creston. Same identical circumstances. Creston owns the airport, the RDCK, it's on RDCK within the regional district. All the money that's collected in taxes is turned back to the airport. And I'm not sure of the exact mechanism. C.O. Smith and I had a conversation. He suggested it might be such as a sustainability service. But anyway, we're not reinventing the wheel here. It's simply a case of following along with what other municipalities are currently doing. So I think it's a good approach. If our annexation proposal happens to hit a snag or is abandoned at some point in the future, at least it sets a precedent for saying if we choose to invest money in the airport property, that any return on that investment would return to the village. So I think it covers the village nicely in either eventuality.
So that's your motion?
That's my motion.
Is there a seconder? Second by Councilor Leafield. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes.
okay. Did we do the capital estimate?
We skipped over 4C.
Oh. Okay, wait a minute.
That's very easy. It's like,
Oh yeah, let's start.
there's
Okay.
nothing to click on.
Right.
Notice of motion.
Can I make a motion to approve the agreement with the Caslo Infonet Society?
Is there a second? Second by Councilor Leafield. Discussion? All in favor? Motion passes. Okay, so I don't know where I'm... That was agreement with I see. Now we're on to staff report watershed.
This item was originally for committee to hold when we were brought to it. I was originally asked to do a little report on Water Street. Essentially, we have about $55,000 plus about $6,000 in downtown revitalisation funds currently set aside for the paving and the curb reduction project. The following timeline has not changed since 2012, and we are looking at having to move things forward a little quicker because it's looking pretty likely that the paving company is coming to town next year, and we'll need to have some substantial discussions about that budget. It could be a fairly expensive project. The essential question is, and Glenn's working on getting some answers for us on this, is what will the estimated overall cost of paving and curb guttering be? And that's an important question to answer before we set on taxes for next year. Determine if even some short-term lending is required. The Public Works Foreman is working on that. We will do one final notification rather than consultation with the downtown properties impacted once we get a final version of the graphic representation of the Water Street works. I'm moving forward in the assumption, given the records that I've seen, that we're not actively looking at the burial of lines or conduit or anything like that. It would add significant costs to the whole thing. And it's will cost enough to get it paved to curb and gutter. So unless there's a change in direction on that, I'm assuming that that aspect of the project's dead at this time.
I'll move your recommendation.
Moved by Councillor Hewitt,
Second for discussion.
second by Councillor Leafwood for discussion.
Just wondered what the status of the notifications to those property owners.
It's been held up in the sense that we wanted to have a very clear message for them, and thanks to Councillor Hill, we finally have a bit of a clearer picture that we can get out. There were a number of positive decisions made by the Development Services Committee over a year ago, but they weren't made in resolution format, so staff were struggling to find them in the council view system. However, we've got them now, so we will be able to get a message out to all of the property owners and downtown businesses, and we even disseminate it through the Chamber of Commerce.
I was actually thinking of the ones that needed to do the easement. Because there was a timeline on that. Or the encroachment.
The encroachments.
Yeah, there was a timeline on that as well. And they had been given letters.
We can contact them again. I believe the deadline they were given expired a long time ago on that subject. I think it was maybe March of this year. So we haven't heard, I think we've heard back from the Mays, but other than that I haven't heard much else. But I can give you a better update on that next time if you like.
Councillor?
Yeah, do we need to get out the mapping again and have a look at the configuration for the curb and gutter? Because I think we had expressed preference as to how we wanted it, the curb and gutter and the sidewalks to look. And I think we're down to the point of trying to decide which way the angle parking should be, whether it be in or back, whether you pull in or back in, and then I think that we sort of lost track of the project after that. So
Well, and I think that's where we got stalled, and that's the motion. All those decisions that we had taken at that meeting just stayed in the committee instead of ending up in a resolution out so that they stayed active.
Yeah, they didn't, because they weren't resolutions, it was just in the minutes they were framed that it was agreed that, but they weren't resolutions, so staff didn't pull them and stick them in the...
So do we need to go through that process again?
You could, we've got it all. Now,
Yeah.
let me sit down with the ecocentric design and get a third map produced.
So at the point where we can go to getting estimates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So that was...
Question.
Oh, call a question. All in favor? Motion passes. No, I'm showing I'm finished with the forces. Correspondence. Okay, Kaslo Street. Motion. Oh, I got them all.
You have to go back to the agenda sheet again.
Oh.
Throw all your recommendations in.
Oh.
So
I'm slowly getting this, but it's painful. Because park book.
Remember, you got a hard copy. Make you there if you need it.
Yeah, I'm back here. Kaslo Street.
I didn't want gas. That's what it is.
So what is that?
Parking space across the...
Number one agenda.
Okay.
Yes, we haven't got it. There we go. So
Okay.
just pass around. Right.
So we're on 5A, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That the Kaslo Hotel be given a parking permit. Is there a mover? No mover, motion dies. Okay.
Could I make a motion
Sure.
that a loading zone spot be created in front of the Kaslo Hotel? Loading space for a loading zone. Then Mr. Ackerman could use it for his cab service. Other hotel patrons could use it. And we don't set a precedent with businesses on Front Street around creating, parking spaces for businesses.
So you want to make that into a motion?
So I'm making a motion to create a loading zone spot in the front and at rear of the hotel. Both front and rear. Loading.
They've got their own parking area, so why at the rear?
Okay. Just at the front then. Sure.
Just a comment.
Yeah.
Seconder?
No, not seconded.
Okay, so Jim's made a motion, but nobody seconded it. Is that correct?
That seems to be the case.
Could I comment as to why?
Well, let's defeat the motion first. Okay, the motion's defeated.
Well, first of all, we recently asked another business owner because they had spray painted a no parking zone, and we told them he basically couldn't do that. So we also have a
But
parking
we
lot.
passed a motion for it to be a no parking, loading zone, correct?
No.
Oh, did it? Oh,
No. I mean, we do have a bylaw, a parking bylaw, and in order to grant one business a permit, then we're contravening our own bylaw. So if we want to look at this, then I would support a motion to revisit the parking bylaw, and then we can see whether or not we can do these kind of things. But
Is there a seconder for that motion? To revisit the parking bylaw? Moved and seconded by Councilor Lang. Discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to. I agree with everything Councilor Leaf has said, and I think even more importantly, we don't want any vehicles on Front Street during the winter months because it's an incredible impediment to snow removal. Any one car on that street is an impediment, and I'm speaking from experience. So we want the street left completely empty during the months, because they're out there at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. in an attempt to beat the traffic, and to have one car sitting there would be, I think, totally unworkable for the works crew. The hotel has parking behind the building. And we did go to the extent of creating a municipal parking lot just for the purpose of local people being able, staff and so on, being able to park the vehicles off Front Street to leave Front Street open for as many visitors as possible. So those are my reasons for not supporting it.
Not supporting what?
Well, just saying that, I mean, we can review it, we can review the parking
Well,
lot.
that was the motion.
Okay. I've said my piece.
And you seconded that motion.
Okay.
Further discussion.
So I'll let Councilor Lang say, I won't speak against the motion that we're doing now, I'll just carry on. We're not burning more time working on it, so I'll vote against the motion based on that.
Call a question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion defeated. 5C. That the village decline continuing the partnership with IXL during the school at the present time.
I thought we had Water Street.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I jumped ahead. All right. That all properties be provided a diagram of the final proposed redevelopment once complete with estimated costs, and further, that the proposal to bury power and telecommunication lines on Water Street be rejected until property owners can come to an agreement on execution and associated costs. Moved by Councilor Hall, second by Councilor Lang. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes. 5C, IXL Driving School, that the village decline continuing the partnership with IXL Driving School at the present time. Moved by Councilor Hall, second by Councilor Hewitt. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes. 5D, reply from the mayor of Megantic, and it's in French, so I don't know how to reply to it.
Move for receipt.
Seconder, second by Councilor Lang. Discussion. All in favor? All in favor? Motion passes, I guess. I can't see hands like I need a hand out like this, not this little finger waving around. I'm sorry. Okay, NKLAHC parking. That a special permit be made available to handicapped vendors at the farmers market area. Moved by Councilor Lang. Second by Councilor Lee.
Discussion. So this would be
For discussion.
like on Water Street. No.
That's my understanding, but I'm not really 100%.
Could I suggest I don't know if this would be an amendment or that a special parking spot, that we create a handicap parking spot down there?
On Front Street or at that?
Well, at that end of the block, there's no handicap parking down there, so it would sort of be,
It's not public that the kaslo.com parking on Water Street has one designated handicap spot right beside the farmers market area.
Yeah, that'd be on private property. I would suggest that, well, I agree with this in principle where it's going. It's the right direction. But I think it'd be better to create a handicap space at the last spot on that,
On Front Street.
on the side, like the one just before the fire hydrant. And there's lots of room for the handicapped person back in there, and that could be handicap parking for somebody at the,
So I'm trying to think about where this fire hydrant is.
well, is there a fire hydrant there at the end of the block?
Yes.
Yeah, so it'd be the last space before that fire hydrant. In front of
On Front Street.
On Front Street.
Okay, all right.
They can't back in there though. I mean, what I thought he was saying is that they wanted to be able to park in the loading zone. Because our issue was with them parking, it wasn't with them parking on Front Street, it was with them parking and congesting that area not near the
We're
center.
talking about handicap.
I know. So his response to the letter we sent him was that I thought he meant to create a handicapped area where we're putting our loading zone so that the vendor could still park there. Because that's what we sent them, is that we didn't want them parking on Water Street and congesting that area.
It's a little harder to create a handicap space back there.
My take is
Councilor.
that it's Front Street, because it says, we recognize the need to minimize congestion on Front Street. And because I believe the handicapped individuals would want level access, and if you're pushing them back to Water Street, that takes away the level access. They're going to have to walk around the block, is what I'm...
But we're not going to be able to, I mean, if we're going to make it a handicap spot, that means any handicapped person can park in that, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
But they're getting there, early in the day. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
So the handicap spot would be the first parking spot back from the corner, right? Because then they can back in there. There's nothing parked. Is that so we would then sign it as a handicapped parking spot?
Right.
Any further discussion? Who moved that?
Well, we've moved, I'm speaking against the special permit in favor of a parking spot, so that's been moved and seconded, so we defeated or amended. If the mover and seconder are okay with me making that amendment, we can do it that way. So I can't remember who moved and seconded it right now.
You moved it, I seconded it.
Did I move it?
No.
Because I was going
Molly
to
did a second. Okay, sorry. I got a good memory, it's just short.
Okay, so I'm moving the seconder flying with the new motion and seconder for the motion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Call a question. All in favor? Motion passes. Okay. Water Street. So 5F is to receive. Moved by Councilor Holland, seconded by Councilor Leeswood. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes. G, various issues. Moved by Council Leeswood for receipt. Second by Councilor Holland. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes. H, Aerodrome Point of View, Ashenhurst.
Move to receive.
Move to receive, Councilor Hewitt. Second by Councilor Leeswood. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes. Okay, communication, motion to receive and file. Okay, so
You've
we,
done them all separately.
yeah. Could we have done that as a block?
You could, and then you could follow it with individual resolutions on the different items. That's one way to do it. But it's okay, you covered it all.
Yeah, it's all done. I'm just, you know,
Oh, okay.
if some of these things we can group them that are just obviously to receive, then we just move that as a block. Okay. 6 is communication for information, UBCM summary, RDCK.
Move for receipt.
Moved by
I
Councilor
want
Leathwood.
to pull one. I'm not seeing it here. Molly, wasn't, oh, there it is. Yeah, item H, 6H, I'd like to pull 6H.
Okay, somebody want to move blocks A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I, J, K.
I'll move.
Moved by Councilor Leathwood. Second by Councilor Hewitt. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes. Okay, Councilor.
Move 6H for receipt.
Second by Councilor Leathwood. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes.
And then, following that, I'd like to make a motion that we refer this long-term communication that Molly Leathwood found at UBCM, refer it to committee of the whole for us to review options for zoning areas of water that lie within the municipal boundaries.
Yeah. Could I just suggest we get a staff report so we got something to focus on, because it's a very complicated
Then
question.
it can come to committee of the whole.
Yeah.
If we leave it here, it won't, we need to
Yeah,
keep
so
it.
a staff repair report for committee.
Yeah, I'm just referring it to committee of the whole.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure, I'm comfortable with preparing a report, also.
Yeah, because there's several options
Yeah.
in various jurisdictions. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Was there a second?
Did you get a second? Councilor Leathwood.
Okay.
All in favor? Motion passes. Okay, committee and staff reports. Okay, on 7A. Resolutions required. 1, that municipal ticketing be resumed under the existing ticketing bylaw and fine levels for 2014, and the bylaw enforcement ticket bylaw amended to bring its schedules up to date.
Can we do those as a block, please?
Yeah.
Those 4 items?
The local RCMP detachment be consulted, private sector bylaw enforcement options be invited to provide updated quotes. Dog large impoundment is pursued aggressively with out-of-town impoundment.
I'll move that.
Second by Councilor Leathwood. Discussion. All in favor? Passes. 2, that incremental increases of mileage and cell phone use reimbursements be negotiated with the animal control officer subject to a successful renegotiation of his overall contract, a draft outline to be provided to council. Moved by Councilor Hewitt, second by Councilor Leathwood. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes. That staff negotiate a draft contract for management of the campground with Trish Bennett. Moved by Councilor Hall, second by Councilor Hewitt. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes. That staff draft a letter of support for the Ramella Glorioso proposal. Staff recommendation that the letter of support for Ms. Glorioso indicates strong support in principle, but clearly established that council has no current plans to review or adapt its land use bylaws, regulations, or other policies in relation to this proposal or its outcomes without extensive review and consideration.
Could I ask for clarification on how are we moving?
Well, moved by Councilor Leathwood, second for discussion. Councilor Lang, second for discussion.
I'm just not sure what we're doing.
There's 2 recommendations.
Yeah, I'd like to be clear on what we're moving.
Oh, I thought it was 1.
You want to explain this?
Basically, the proposal is fine. However, it does cross into areas of land use policy without knowing the outcomes. we don't want to attach ourselves, at least from my perspective, it wouldn't be prudent to attach ourselves to any outcomes or commitments in terms of changing land use bylaws.
Then I'll move the staff recommendation.
Second.
Yeah.
Do we need both of them though?
Both of them's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Both of them? Are you going to move both?
Well, I thought I was moving both.
Well, both of them are single letter support, so you're going to pass 2 resolutions to write a letter of
The
support.
second one is about the content.
It's a modification.
Okay.
Okay, we clear on the motion then? Further discussion? And the mover was Councillor Leithwood, who was the seconder. Councillor Hewitt?
Yeah.
Discussion? All in favor? The motion passes. Okay. For review or information, staff reports back to the committee of the whole with respect to alternative models of healthcare in the Kootenays.
Just to briefly report back, I have heard back from the customer. I believe I shared the quick bit of feedback I got from the CEO where hopefully I'll get more in the future.
Could I just, Councillor Hewitt mentioned you had a party that we could be meeting or come to the committee of the whole or something like this too, right?
If it were probably Thursday night, because they come into town Thursday night.
On this initiative,
speak to them on Friday.
yeah. And so, the other thing I think is, we have 3 examples, Augusta, Denver, and Creston. Combining those 3 pools of experience, I think that we can adequately direct ourselves to create the options that we want to bring forward to IHA. Having said that, I'm a little confused because nothing has been said to the staff at the hospital about a change in hours. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So they're in turmoil out there. They don't know whether they're going to be 24/7 and what's going on. And so I don't know why, when it was announced in the paper that was the intention was to reduce hours, yet the staff at the hospital have not been consulted as to what that would mean.
Paper doesn't always.
Sorry? Well,
The paper doesn't always give the right information.
well, this was an announcement put in by IHA about reduced service hours. So there's a lot of, so I think we've reached a point and we draft up this terms of reference where we are now going to give the IHA what we think are reasonable solutions. Because we narrowed the focus as their request on doctor recruitment, and I really have to compliment Tom Humphreys for nailing this thing down. And I mean, I've read it once, I'm probably going to have to read it 2 or 3 times, but it's pretty clear in my mind that we're not the problem, which was the issue that they tried to raise. And I lost my thing again. Okay.
Probably usually have it still up at the top here.
Okay.
And it's, you keep confused. I'm doing it upside down, so.
Okay, hyperlink and recommended. Let me try. Oh, there we go. Okay. So
Yeah, but
there's
it's
one.
not actually open. It's there.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, now we're at Municipal Services Committee.
Yeah, basically, just to quickly interject, you've now dealt with all the action items that came out of those 3 sets of minutes. So it's basically it's essentially receiving for B2B.
Okay, so I'll move to receive the minutes of Municipal Services Committee, Development Services, City Hall, and Committee of the Whole. Can I do that all at once?
Second by Councillor Leithwood. Discussion. All in favor. Motion passes. Okay, so staff report recommendation in the report.
It's a development variance report for application for Patricia Wilson and Stephen Hinks. No comments have been received. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum allowed front lot line setback from 7.5 metres to 6.1 metres with respect to construction of a new single family dwelling. My recommendation is that Council approves development variance permit DVP 21301 to allow a reduction of the minimum front lot line setback for buildings as stipulated by land use bylaw 1130, section 3.1.4, from 7.5 metres to 6.1 metres with respect to the proposed new primary dwelling located on the property, civically addressed as 231 Front Street in Kaslo and legally described as parcel B, block 7, plan 393 PL 208, and further that the administrator be authorised to execute the permit.
Moved.
Moved by Councillor Hall and second by Councillor Lee. For discussion, all in favor? Motion passes. Let's see if I can do this right. Hey, I got it that time. Okay. Street light works. Recommendation report.
I'll move that a service contract be offered to Kaslo Electric Limited for the purpose of installing 3 new streetlights and poles on E Avenue, not to exceed a value of $25,705.73 plus GST.
Second. Second by Councillor Hewitt. Discussion, all in favor? Motion passes. Annexation process, information only. You want to explain this?
Just Council about a month ago asked that I provide an overview on the annexation process and where we were within it. If you look at the second page of my report under analysis, you'll see that we're not quite halfway through the process at this time. We've developed a proposal, we've submitted it, and it's currently under administrative review. If all went well, the Ministry gave us permission to proceed. We would move to elector approval, and that's the village electorate plus the boundary extension area. Then it moves to full provincial approval and implementation. The review process that we're currently in is fairly fluid, and it does permit modifications or changes to the proposal without having it being sent back to the drawing board. They really strongly recommend that a municipality waits until the ministry confirms that all should request before going to elector approval, just to save money and time, quite frankly. In terms of the village's proposal, we have, as has been discussed in Canada, there are substantial issues that need to be addressed during the review before moving toward electoral approval. Council will need to meet and discuss the related matters, probably quite extensively.
Motion to receive. Moved by Councillor Hewitt, second by Councillor Lang. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes.
Just have a quick question. Do we, out of curiosity, approximate cost to do the referendum? Is that?
$4,000, $3,500, $4,000.
Okay.
And staff report, gas.
Again, this was one that I was asked to put together for you. Sorry for the local authority, but just provide a little bit of background on the allocation of the funds and in terms of the criteria. There is nothing stopping the village creating a policy that would restrict spending to, for example, water projects, solid waste, and so on. A policy that restricts spending to core or directly operated municipal infrastructure could also be considered. Basically ruling out third-party beneficiaries outside of the municipal situation. Alternatively, Council should consider a minor gas tax funding programme for third parties so that the cupboard's not bare entirely if they were to go down that road. There is a potentially significant water intake project for 2014, and there's also potentially to mobilise, capitalise and effective recycling depot next year, potentially. We're also looking at projects in Water Street Trails projects. Those could come under active transportation aspects. So there are fairly strong arguments for protecting the funds by restricting the criteria to core municipal infrastructure and services. Even though we have quite a bit right now, it's used up fairly quickly on core projects. However, appreciate that there isn't a lot of grant aid around like right now, and that the third-party organisations in Castle might want to some look at those funds.
I'd like to move that we refer this report to committee of the whole.
Second for discussion. But I just need clarification, I should know this by now. So the money we get from the regional district for the BC Hydro grant, and what is that called?
That's the Community Works Fund.
Yeah. Our community development program.
That's the community development. That's different. The Community Works Fund is the money that the municipality gets directly from UBCM.
Okay, so when I put this forward, it was actually for that funding that I thought we should do the criteria, because we were getting requests from the chamber and requests from the cultural for us to give them money. And so I totally agree with this, but I think the criteria what I was getting at was for that funding. For the hydro, or the community development program. Because we were starting to get requests from community groups.
Oh, and you want to establish criteria?
Criteria for us to give that
So,
money. Right.
Be a subsequent motion,
Right.
ask for a report on that, then we've got the report on the community works. This is really,
This is great, yeah.
we need this now.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Councillor Lee.
I'm not so sure we need to do anything, do we? I mean, we have total control here. If we choose not to give money from our gas tax to third parties, that's certainly do we need a policy stating that we won't do it?
Well, I think that was miscommunication. I miscommunicated because I called it the wrong thing, I think.
She's talking about the...
I understand what Councillor Leith was talking about. I'm referring to the gas tax money. I mean, we have total control of it. Do we need a resolution saying that we're going to spend it all on municipal projects? Probably we will. Maybe for the next 2 or 3 years. I don't know, but that's my only thought. I think the information is great, and I think it's good that we know and we're aware of it, but I don't know that we need to do anything at this stage.
Well, and there's a big change coming, because before the criteria was very specific. And through FCM, they decided that one size doesn't fit all, and that there should be some consideration for other types of use of that gas tax money, but that doesn't take effect until the 2014 budget, federal. But then they send that money to UBCM, and then we have to go to UBCM to get the money. And as we have done in the past, we then send a letter to UBCM, and they then make a judgment whether or not that, and this is what you're basing this report on.
Yeah, also in my previous position, we did anticipate the third-party pressure. It does happen to local governments, and particularly at the regional district level, it was quite interesting. Electoral areas did not want to participate very often in regional projects, and we ended up amounting amount of money, and the third-party organisations in the electoral areas were wondering what was going to happen with the money, and management were looking at all the core infrastructure that could have used gas tax money, so it kind of got stuck and locked away. So they did come up with criteria, but it's completely unnecessary in this case unless council want to go down this road.
So, Jim, did you make a motion?
yeah, I made a motion that we refer this to committee of the whole.
And it was seconded by Councillor Leithwood. Discussion, all in favor, motion passes.
Can I make a subsequent motion that we refer, or that we have staff prepare a report on criteria for community works development program?
Okay. Community development program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We're on I, committee of the whole. Would you like to comment on this report, Mr. Smith?
Yep. After our first meeting, which of course was just our first meeting of committee of the whole, I gave it some thought. Basically, we need to make some maybe a few modifications to make the time flow. This is purely with, more effectively, this is purely if council wishes to stick to the one committee for the whole meeting a month. If you wish to move to two, which was one option I provided to you, you could have one public dialogue session followed by a business meeting later in the month. However, if you're trying to do both, there needs to be a balance. And yes, it was the first one, but I could see we were in a bit of trouble in terms of striking that balance at the first meeting. So I'm suggesting that the number of delegations be restricted, that the amount of time for delegations be restricted, and that we have some clearer ground rules moving forward on delegations and requests that go to committee of the whole. For example, unless we make some changes, requests for letters of support and the like shouldn't go to committee of the whole because you can't make a decision. You can only make a recommendation unless you set a policy that they're allowed to. So something else that I have suggested in relation to this is that staff be permitted to develop a criteria for dealing with requests for letters of support. It'll probably happen once or twice a year when grant deadlines come around. There are a lot of proposals that have almost no impact or no direct impact on the municipal operations. The committee of the whole would be quite able to fire off a letter of support without much discussion or debate. However, there are ones that come along that might concern municipal operations and policy, and they need more discussion. A flow chart would be quite easy for staff, and also it would facilitate the mayor to be able to come in and sign off on a letter that could go out quickly for someone's deadline. And budget committee of the whole, I'm recommending that be monthly between September through to April. Basically just designate presiding members for committee of the whole and the budget committee of the whole. Good for me to have a chair to work with on both on a regular basis.
Motion to receive?
I'll second for discussion. So what do we do
Second by
then?
Councillor Lee.
If all we're going to do is receive it, then what about the recommendations? Because I agree with all of them except for I'm a little worried about giving the public, again, what is the purpose of committee of the whole? If it is for public discussion, then that's one thing, but if it's for council business, that's another. And giving the public 5 minutes after every agenda item for discussion, I think we're going to run into the same problems we've had with delegations. When I think we have our question period at the end, that's our recommendation.
Councillor Lang.
I totally agree with Councillor Leafwood in this regard, and I'd like to say that the school board has a similar process, and what they do is restrict the public's engagement for the first 15 minutes of the meeting and after the meeting is concluded. And the main block of time is set apart for business with no public involvement. And I think this is a model we should go after, because I just think it's too messy to have the public constantly inviting the public to constantly interrupt the flow of business at these meetings, because we've got so much business to get through. So that's my recommendation.
So then, my issue is that the public don't want to sit here and listen to council. Many, they don't listen to council business. They want to come and make a
Can we
point.
just vote on the receipt before we get carried away here? We'll forget that we did that. Excuse me, just one minute. Are
But
we
if we
debating
vote
the
on the
receipt?
receipt, then what do we do with recommendations?
Well, you can still make subsequent motion, which I'm prepared to do. But I don't want to get into this thing where we start talking about 3 motions down the line and we haven't finished what we're doing. Still not doing the time.
Ready for the question? Call the question. All in favor? Motion passes.
I'd be prepared to make a subsequent motion
Okay.
that we move all the recommendations except for the 5 minute per agenda items public time.
I'll second that. But I still think, we do need to figure out how we're going to engage the public, because we do want that engagement. I just think we need to figure out how to.
The CAO is a comment.
And if we're eliminating lead items, I can simply replace that with a different type of public period instead, because that follows the setting of the agenda.
Yeah, my view is that the public would like, and they got 3 minutes with a thought or an idea to leave with council. And that the first half hour or first 20 minutes be public time. Rather than listen to all this stuff, they come to us, and then as Neil's pointed out, there are 2 types of delegations, and we kind of, a delegation for information, which is somebody wants to tell us about an issue or something that they want council to address, and council needs to be able to record that, and maybe staff reports are required in order to gather more information, and that at the end of that 20 minutes or whatever period, and if there's nobody at public there, we just get on with the business meeting. But to wait until the end of the meeting before they can discuss anything, to bring a point of view that's totally unrelated to the business. Like, our problem is reaching out to the public to come to us with their thoughts and ideas, especially at budget time. And I think that should happen in the beginning, and then it ends. Then we get on to the business. And I don't think 90 minutes is enough, quite frankly. I think we need to. Go ahead.
I agree with the 15 minutes at the beginning, because people do want to be listened to, but it does depend upon the chair being very strict with the time limitation, and they probably don't want to sit through a whole meeting. But I think council has been struggling because we don't know what your vision was for this. Yeah. It's just sort of that we're thrown into it, so we're struggling to catch up to where you want this to be, but we don't know that. Yeah. So if we'd had a little bit more of an information session for council, so we would understand what your ultimate goal was, but we still need to achieve business. Right. And I don't disagree with having more time, because certainly an hour and a half with 4 delegations was certainly not enough.
Yeah, well, I think where Neil and I, when we started this, we said, we're working our way through it, and that's the type of feedback we need. My thought was there's 2 types of delegations. One is a delegate, a member of the public would like to speak to council. They got 3 minutes. And then that's it. That's why I want my little timer, you hit the button, 2 minutes, and then. However, somebody that wants... and as far as Neil and I have got on this, I think, is if a delegation has a policy issue, then they should come to a regular council meeting, because that's what, our business is policy. We deal with policy. So if that delegate, what I'd like to try is leave it up to the CAO to decide whether the delegation is appropriate for a committee of the whole, or whether the delegation should come to a regular meeting. And as far as I've got with that, and we're going to have to try that, is the issue of policy. If this person is proposing to challenge policy or ask for a change in policy, then that should come to a regular council meeting. But if they just want to share a thought or an idea, then they get their 3 minutes, and the CAO listens to what they say, we listen to what they say. That may or may not result in a staff report to address that issue, or it gives us a heads up as to something that we may have missed. And I would rather have somebody in the public talking to all of council than talking to a specific councillor about a problem. Because then, it's okay, the council raises that at the council table, and as Councillor Leith has pointed out, it would be nice if we were all on the same page. So my hope is that we can have a structure where at the beginning of the committee, the whole meeting, the public can engage, council can engage them and properly chaired. And the other thing is, I think that each acting mayor should chair for the 3 months that they're the acting chair. They chair the meeting, and we'll all help each other with this, because I was keeping notes the last time we did that. I got the time they started, and I tried to, we said 10 minutes. What we didn't say was at 10 minutes, did that include questions?
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that's not what we're looking for here. We're looking for a 3-minute soundbite. You guys are lousy in dog control. Okay, fine. Write that down and we'll move on. What I didn't want to get into, was these more complicated issues for council. This is just a chance for the public to come in, say their piece, and leave. Rather than corner somebody on the street and say, please raise this at the next council meeting. But maybe I'm wrong. Councilman.
Well, I think that you've got two different, you're not apples and oranges here. Like, to me, a delegation is what we had at the last meeting, which was my wife, Donna, and Randy Morris. Those are delegations. They should be permitted 10 minutes. They say their piece, and we can ask them questions, and away they go. No action was taken because none was asked for. What you're talking about is this public input process, which I think can be dovetailed into the start of the meeting, limited to maybe 15 minutes, and you can address any topic off the top of your head, whatever it is that you want to talk, and limit it to 3 minutes.
But you got to go through the CAO. You just don't show up.
For which part?
For the public involvement part.
So if you want to show up at a meeting and have your 3 minutes of fame, you have to get an appointment through the CAO to even show up. And
I'm going to interject here for a point of order. This is probably a very valid comment, but let's get back to the business of the meeting. We've got a motion on the table to adopt all except for the one recommendation on formatting of the committee of the whole meeting. And I'd like first to vote with that, and then this discussion, maybe we don't have to do it as part of our business meeting. Move on.
Well, when do we do it then?
Yeah,
So that-
we need to. I'm in total support of your motion, but that still leaves the public engagement part up in the air, and we have to resolve it before our next committee of the whole meeting. That's my thinking.
No, I agree.
But we're not moving that section so that we can pass this
Yes.
part of the motion and then move on.
So call the question.
I was ready to do that.
All in favor? Motion passes. Neil.
As I mentioned earlier, we're removing the late items part. That would probably be the best to have a sort of say. I'll find a better term for it, but almost the sort of open mic sort of part of the meeting, with a Q&A at the end as well, in case anyone hangs around for the meat of some of the business discussions. We could call it, maybe we should just call it the open mic session, I don't know, but if I replace that with late items part on the agenda, that would help.
Yeah.
The chair would control.
Yeah, and as part of that public session is all the things the council are going to be doing for the next month.
At the end.
That was on the original agenda, but it was at the very end. These are the events that are occurring. So, yeah, you can move that in. But I think that's communicating with the public. Here's what's going on in the next month. Councilor.
Well, I just have one quick question. So if we do the model that you're proposing, where we only talk about policy and stuff at council meetings, when then do we get a chance to talk about those policies?
But what I said, the delegation comes to challenge the policy.
Okay, so again,
Yeah.
when does council get a chance to discuss that if we're not going to do it at the committee at home?
Well, I'm going to leave it to the CAO to screen these delegations and decide whether they belong in a committee of the whole or whether they belong in a regular council meeting.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, we have a delegation come to council about...
Regular meeting or a committee of the whole?
Regular meeting.
Okay.
So then when does council get an opportunity to discuss the policy or make changes or whatever? Or we're going to do that at regular meeting, we'll be there all night?
No, I think it'll probably end up being a staff report, depending on the complicated nature of the delegation. Does it require a staff report?
That's putting a lot of work on the staff.
I see an awful lot of businesses got done here in an amazing short period of time with reports. I don't think there's a difficulty in preparing reports.
Well, there isn't, but on top of the reports are all the other business of the village that the CAO and staff have to do.
And if he feels he can't do it, then he can tell us that. I haven't heard that from him. Everything we've asked him, he has done.
He's that kind of person that doesn't ever...
But he's also very honest. honest. I mean, we've had these discussions, and I have urged upon him, hey, what's the workload? He keeps telling me no problem. But anyway, Councilor.
I'd like to make a motion. The motion is that we have 15 minutes of public time at the start of each COTW meeting and an additional 15 minutes at the end of each meeting. Period.
I'll second. See what happens.
Want to put a proviso that it be on a trial basis and see how it works? Try the next meeting?
I think everything's on trial.
Absolutely it is. This is going to take a year.
Change it. It's not a bylaw.
Yeah, that's true. We need to clarify what, so the 50 minutes at the beginning is going to be any public engagement, but the 50 minutes and at the end is only questions on the business on the agenda. Or else we'll end up having...
Is it necessary to make all these stipulations? I mean,
Well, yeah, because we have to have some direction that we're going. We have to have some boundary.
well, I'll tell you what the school board does. At the 15 minutes prior to the meeting, you can only address issues that are on the agenda.
Well, so we're just switching that.
Okay? And at the end of the meeting, you can say whatever you like. You can
Okay.
comment on anything.
So do one or the other. But one has to be one and one has to be the other, is what I'm trying to say.
So like 15 minutes is only to deal, you're only allowed to speak to the items on the agenda. At the end of the meeting, you can speak your mind on any subject on this.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the input prior to us taking a decision.
Right.
So that's why the CAO needs a little piece of paper from this person to ensure that they have read the agenda.
Well, I'm not so sure. I think somebody can show up to the meeting with a copy of the agenda and say, I'd like to speak to this item. That's why I don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry walking into Neil's office and say, I want my 3 minutes of fame at the next COTW meeting.
Okay, as long as they've read the agenda.
Well, they can't address items on the agenda if they haven't read it.
It's going to be published, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Call a question. All in favor? Motion passes. We get the direction now? And then this is a work in
I
progress.
hate to do this, but for the last item, did you want to specify just for the ease of the CAO in budget in doing agendas? The presiding member, because you had indicated the acting mayors would do it during their term sessions.
That's what I'm going to suggest.
And
No, I mean, so that would be my first recommendation, is that the acting mayor take the whole meeting. If
all
they're-
of them, or
No.
just the regular committee of the whole?
The regular committee of the whole. But then what happens if they're away or whatever? You know, then the group selects somebody else.
Okay, what about budget ones?
Budget's different. That's a different process, and it's all going to get laid out here when we...
Okay.
as to how those committee of the whole meetings, because they have to be highly structured, highly planned, I think, in order to get the job done. Okay, Councillor Holland, we're on J here. UBCM report, motion to receive. Moved by Councillor Holland, second by Councillor Lang. Discussion, all in favor, motion passed.
And I have a subsequent motion coming out of that from discussions at UBCM, if I could, and I submitted it to the CAO in writing. I believe I also sent it around to all councilors. And the recommendation is that the CAO will be authorized to investigate the potential engagement of a consultant for the specific purpose of assisting with our municipal finance accounting system with the goal of providing greater organizational capacity for the budgeting process. And that a report from the CAO will indicate funding options within the current unexpended budgetary items. I have some examples listed, but basically, if there's a second, I'll speak to it.
I'm sorry.
So we had a really good, we had some really good discussions with Linda Tynan at the UBCM, and she had a strong candidate that she could suggest. And I believe there's been some discussions with Neil now, and so I'm suggesting that seeing how we've got a serious, big, giant rollover of staff after having somebody in the office for so many years, I think there's way too many things that could be lurking in the corners. And if we're going to put resources into anything that upgrades our accounting systems or the way that we do our budgeting processes. I think this is a critical time to do it. And I'm suggesting we find the money one way or the other by hook or crook in the current budgetary thing and allow the CAO at his discretion and what he sees meets his needs to go forward and get that assistance now.
Well, wouldn't this come forward in the first meeting? It says you have to have a motion to come to that meeting? Where? Yeah, it's a good motion, and we can vote on it. I'm saying, I assume that's what he would do in the first meeting. If he needs help, he'll say, I need help, and this is what it's going to cost.
We're well on our way.
Okay, so further discussion? Councillor Lane?
Yeah, I'd like to ask the CO Smith if he's in support of this motion.
I've indicated, Councillor Holland, it would probably be something positive to do. My only qualm about it really is I don't want to stand up justifying a very expensive, large new software system out of this. The municipalities spend significant money on maize, but what I am finding is that we didn't necessarily acquire the maize system at its full optimal level at the time. It was only kind of half and half. I'm aware that Nacusk has acquired a very expensive system, which was far and away more expensive than what we acquired just a few years ago here. So I'm a little cautious on that end of it, but in terms of having someone come in and help assist with straightening out some of the issues around our software and accounting system, yes, that probably would be. It would be a good time to do it before I get any further embedded into the old system.
Councillor, is there money in the budget to pay for this?
I don't know, we have a sense as to what the costs are. I think that's what you were going for, right? Is to find out what the cost would
I need to
be.
get it to what the costs would be first.
Okay.
And that will be available at the first process meeting. But great idea. Now, do we need to vote on this?
Sure.
All in favor? Motion passed. So now we're down to bylaw 1145, exempt certain properties from taxation for 2014.
I'll move it. Yeah. Sorry.
Moved by Councillor Hewitt, second by Councillor Holland. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes. New business, nothing submitted. Accounts payable. Oh, sorry.
I don't know. Well, you kind of dealt with it on your 3 already, but it was added to 9.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right, 9A, right.
I was just making note that it was dealt with under 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Accounts payable. Moved by Councillor Lang, second by Councillor Leafwood.
There should be you should announce the dollar amount.
Just right. $97,008.26. Moved by Councillor Lang, second by Councillor Leafwood. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes. Okay.
Maybe there somewhere. Lots of stuff. There we go.
Okay, and item number 11, financial report for September 2013 statement. Motion to receive.
I'll move.
Moved by Councillor Leafwood.
Second.
Second by Councillor Holland. Discussion. All in favor. Motion passes. for adjournment.
Move.
Moved by Councilor Leaflet. Second by Councilor Hall. Discussion, all in favor. Motion passes. Not bad, hour and a half.
So the question I have, there's still public time at the end of regular council meetings.
Yep. Public. Ravello.
I hate to put pressure on the CAO and the village council, but I'm in a time crunch here.
You'll get it to tomorrow.
Thank you, Ravello.
The letter's probably already drafted, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much.